Can we normalize that different phases of the journey require different things from all of us? Different points in our own personal evolutionary journey require new tools, new ways of doing things, new habits, new thought patterns, and that includes sometimes new food. Food is such a fucking topic. God, it's like a war zone and it's exhausting. You know, I'm somebody who's been all over the map with food. And you'll have people tell you you shouldn't treat eating like a diet and it's a lifestyle and you got to eat this way and science says you got to eat that way and you got to do this and you got to do that. It's fucking stupid. All of it is fucking stupid and all of it's a fucking joke. Because the truth is there's not one way of doing anything on this planet and there's not one way of doing anything at all in this human experience. And that we have all come from different places. We have all different elements. We have all different genetics. We have all different lifestyles. We have all different cultures and ways of living, being, and doing. We all different have trauma. We're so fucking different. And what works for us isn't always going to work for someone else. And sometimes it does, and awesome if it does. And, some people panic because one diet worked for them for 2 years and then all of a sudden it stopped working. That doesn't mean you have done anything wrong. It just means that maybe it's time for something new on your journey and that we are not rigid, static, linear beings, that we are multidimensional, non-linear, flowing type beings that require new things at different junctures on our journey. And I speak about this from my own deep embodied experience with it. As somebody who grew up traditionally Cree, for those of you who don't know, Cree, Nehio, it's a native indigenous tribe. I'm half native, I'm half Cree. And so growing up, I had a very deep relationship with hunting with my dad. My dad always taught me how to make a connection, a heart-to-heart connection with the animal, to ask the animal permission before taking its life, to create that bond and that connection. And then as the animal is passing away, we look it in the eye and we hold it in love and reverence and gratitude as it's passing. And it is a very beautiful process. And I grew up growing my own food. My parents had their own garden. We hunted our own food. It was very clean, very clean. I guess you could call it the ancestral diet, right? It was very healthy. And that worked for me for a while. And then I got older, and as life happened and my body began to change, different stress levels and traumas in my life began to change the chemistry of my body. My life began to evolve. I started eating more modernized food. I had a phase in my life for about 10 years where I ate fast food all the time. And of course I had health problems. Then I found veganism. Then I found raw veganism. And then guess what? I had an intuitive nudge. I had a dream. You really want to know what it is? I had a fucking dream one night that the full moon told me that I needed to be eating meat, but just a little bit. And at this point, I had been raw vegan for 2 years and vegan for 3. And I thought, you know what? That feels right. I really do want to try eating some meat. And I did. I started eating chicken. That led me down a whole rabbit hole of the new popular diet that's been popular the last 2-3 years, which is the ancestral diet, which is the raw milk and no seed oils and all of these things. And so I went down that rabbit hole for a while and I got really fucking sick and it just wasn't right. But you know what? It kind of was right because it was the learning lesson that I needed. And here I am naturally gravitating towards a vegan diet again. My partner, my husband, he grew up vegetarian and then in his teens had a phase with like meat and fast food. And then he was like a hardcore vegan for 6 years and a raw vegan. And when I started to eat meat, he started to eat meat. And he's been like balls deep into the ancestral diet. No, grass fed, no seed oils, all of the thing. And even he's naturally starting to feel drawn to pulling back and only eating fish, only eating eggs, only doing raw milk and nothing else, no meats, right? It's like, as we grow and evolve, as things change in our life, our habits, our routines change, our thought patterns change. And guess what? Our fucking diets and exercise regimens change. And that's okay. When we get too rigid with something, when we become too attached to the identity of something, no growth really begins to happen, or we resist the potential growth that could be happening. But the truth is, you guys, is there's no one right way to do anything. There's no one right way to lose weight. There's no one right way to heal. There's no one right way to eat. There's no one right way to exercise. There's no one right way to fucking dance, film a video, drive a car, like it's ridiculous when you actually start to think about it. And to see the health industry, I mean, I'm not even going to talk about the personal development industry, but just the health and fitness industry, how much ego there is in everything, because it was something that's near and dear to some people. And I get it. A lot of people find themselves in chronic health issues and illness, and then they find a way of eating, and then they get really healthy and they get better, and then they want to preach that. Hello, I've been there. I've been that person. I get it. But the truth is you don't know everything. There's no one way, and you don't have the end all be all answers. And what worked for you isn't necessarily going to work for somebody else. I have seen people sick on a very tight ancestral diet regimen. I was not only one of them, but I've seen people really ill and then go to a raw vegan diet and be thriving, glowing. And I've seen the opposite. I've seen very sickly raw vegans, and I've seen them just glow up on meat and carnivore and all of this. But you guys, like, it's ridiculous to think that we have the answers and we have the way. I'm really sketched out anytime somebody says that. And then also, it can be really hard when we're confused about our own lives just to easily blindly follow somebody else's way of being. And sometimes we need to do that. Sometimes we need to learn from trial and error. And that's okay. But if there's anybody out there right now that's like struggling and not knowing what they should be doing with their food, or feeling bad because the diet that everybody says is supposed to be the end all be all is not the end all fucking be all for you, here's your permission slip to lean in and trust what you want to do. Trust what's feeling good for you and your body. There's too much information out there these days, you guys. Like, there's so much that it's overwhelming, and it can be really hard just to tune in and listen to you, yourself, your truth, your own body. And I'm going to tell you right now, your body is highly fucking intelligent. I mean, highly intelligent. It is a quantum organism machine that knows how to heal itself. If you could just get out of its way, take your mind out of it, and just silence yourself. Take a moment to really listen. And then to not judge yourself for what comes up. Because that's the issue. We all know the answers to all of our problems. We just don't like the answer, or we judge the answer, or we're afraid of the answer. And so here's your permission just to do whatever your body needs for you. Like, I have been thriving 2 weeks with no meat. And I just got off of a diet, or I don't even want to call it that way. I got off a way of eating on a certain pit stop of my journey where I was eating meat a lot, eating a lot of protein, and it was not working for me. And I've cut my protein back to like maybe 25 grams a day, and I'm feeling great. I went from like 160 to 25 grams a day, and I'm loving life. I'm feeling good. I'm sleeping better. And who knows, like I'm still going to eat meat when my body wants me to. I'm still going to do all of these things, and I'm not going to label myself. I'm a human being, and I put food in my body. What that food is going to depend on how my body is feeling. Food is fuel. It doesn't need to be that complicated. We have so much of our identity wrapped up in it because there's body image, there's health issues, there's all of this. But you guys, I'm telling you, it's so much fucking easier than that. And all it requires is for you to stop judging the truth that is actually emerging. Because if you silence yourself and you really listen, I promise you there is a truth that is trying to emerge. And if you just quiet yourself, still yourself, and listen and don't judge it, you just might end up somewhere in your life that really feels good. And who knows, it might not feel so good either. And that's okay, because there are no mistakes. There are only lessons that lead to learning. And sometimes that sucks, but what are you going to do about it? It's life. We came here for an experience. So why don't you start experiencing things, right? All right. Bye, guys.